Welcome to Raenelle.com. Today I've got a really neat card for you. It is a spinner card, and it says, "You are every lovely word I could possibly think of. Sweet, crazy, wild, amazing, fabulous, inspiring, and back to sweet." Isn't that such a cool card? I have used on this one, Blushing Bride and Calypso Coral. I used these are our new in colors, and I made this into a thank you card. You are every lovely word I could possibly think of. Amazing, sweet, inspiring, fabulous, kind, fun. Thank you so much. This is a really neat card, and it is fun to make. It takes two colors. So, as usual, we're going to roll the dice to see what colors we're going to use to make this card. This card is made with designer series paper, playful palette, and the matching cardstock. Okay, so let's roll the dice. We need two colors. So we have a 5 and a 2. So using our in colors, we're going to pick our number 2 in color, which is the Flirty Flamingo. And then in our playful palette, we're going to pick number 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this will be our designer series paper for this card. Now, to make these cards, we're going to be using these go-to stamp sets. This is the Thoughtful Banners, and this is Love and Affection. You're going to love these two stamp sets. I just keep using them over and over. You can purchase all of these products on Stampin'Up.com and use Raenelle Pearson as your demonstrator. We're also going to be using this template. Now, you don't have to use this template, but it just makes it so much easier. And you will find this as a free download on Raenelle.com. I'm going to make this card a happy birthday card using the same stamp sets. So to get started, we're going to cut our Flirty Flamingo into 2 5.5-inch squares. We're going to cut Very Vanilla into 4 3/4 circle. Now, if you do not have framelits or dies, you can use this circle here and lay it on your paper and just go ahead and cut it as your template. For our designer series paper, we're going to need a strip of 3/4 and a strip of 1/2 inch. Now, as I was cutting it, I was taking a look at the edges where I wanted to cut it on my paper. I wanted my swirls to be going up. I also wanted some black. The black will offset this stamp here. So I actually cut one off of this side, and then I cut the 1/2 inch off of this side. It also gave me the diagonals, the swirl of the squares, and the black dots. So you may take a look at your designer series paper and determine where you want to do your cutting. You're going to need a scrap of Very Vanilla to do your stamping. You're also going to need a brad. I happen to have a little heart brad that I'm going to use, just like this one. You're also going to need some sequins. So go ahead and cut your paper, and then we'll go to step 2. The first thing we want to do is our stamping. You're only going to need to stamp on one side, or one piece of the 5.5 Flirty Flamingo. I am going to use the Love and Affection stamp, and I'm going to use this little dotted stem. And I'm going to use it in the Flirty Flamingo because it will be a tone on tone and just have a little interest in the background. I'm turning the stamp each time I stamp. If you'll notice, I keep getting ink on the block portion of my, or ink on my block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this stamp to a smaller block. I have my stamp cleaner on the outside. You can't really see it, but I keep it clean over there. And this makes it so much easier to maneuver and to keep the ink off of your block where you are likely to tip it a little too much and then get smears on your paper. Okay. To stamp our flowers, we're going to need three large flowers, and we're going to need 2 of them in one color and 1 in the opposite color. Now I'm taking the colors out of my designer series paper, which is the Sweet Sugar Plum and the Peekaboo Peach. Now there is no Flirty Flamingo on this paper, but I think you're going to find it works very well. So we're going to stamp 2 of the Peekaboo Peach. And my stamp set is so juicy, I'm going to have to do that again and be very careful. And see, I missed some right there. I will take my stamping marker and fill that in. Okay, 2 of the... Oh, I've done that wrong. That's the Flirty Flamingo. I need the Sweet Sugar Plum. So I get to turn it over and we'll start all over. Okay, now of the Sweet Sugar Plum, which is the dark color, I'm only going to have 1 of those. So let's see if I can get it. Okay, that's a good one. And then I'm going to do 2 of the Peekaboo Peach. And now we're going to need the small flowers. We're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 small flowers, 2 of each color. So 2 Peekaboo Peach and 2 of the Sweet Sugar Plum. I didn't do that one very well, so I'll do it again. I've got room on my... Okay, that's great. Now the centers, I'm going to do just the opposite for the centers. For the large flower on the Sweet Sugar Plum, I'm going to do the Peekaboo Peach center. And for the Peekaboo Peach, I'm going to do the Sweet Sugar Plum center. Now I'm going to fussy cut them out. Now that we've got our flowers cut out, we're going to work on our circle. So we need to find the center of our circle. Now, you can do this in a couple different ways. One of them, you can line your paper, your template, directly over your circle, and you will be able to find the center that way. So let me cut out this circle. You can lay the template directly over your circle, take your needle tool, and punch the hole. Now, a different way to do this is to take a scrap 4 3/4 inch piece of paper, fold it in half, turn it over, fold it in half. This gives you a center point. Now you can lay your paper, adjusting it to the very center of your paper, and punch your hole. After you have determined the center of your hole, you're going to determine the center of your 5.5 cardstock place. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up on one side, and we're going to make sure that this edge and this edge is equal. Whoops, I moved it. And then we're going to punch the hole through the center. So then you have your center hole for your outside card. 2 3/4 is the center of 5 1/2. So I'm going to mark that so I know where to place my punch. And I want to place my punch halfway in, and this is just an oval punch. You could use a different punch if you want, but I'm going to punch through both pieces of paper. Now that gives us the thumb hole for turning our card. Now we're going to work on the see-through hole. And to determine that, you can use your ruler. It is 2 1/4 inches away from the bottom, so that would be 2 1/4 inches over. 2 1/4 inches over, and that would be that mark. And it would be from the bottom of the stamp is 1 inch. So 1 inch below the bottom. So there would be the center or the beginning of your stamp. So it would be placed right here. So using this little cross mark, you would lay the bottom of your stamp at the bottom center and stamp your image. Now I did not stamp it because I want to show you another way. Using the template, you're going to take your craft knife and you're going to cut out one of these little areas. Now, lining your hole and your hole, this tells you exactly where you want to place. And you can simply make some little marks. Take your stamp again and stamp your punch. Now taking your craft knife, we're simply going to cut on the inside of the black to make our opening. Do this very carefully because you don't want to cut the black outline off, because that black outline just gives dimension, it just gives it spotlight to the words. I had to change my blade because my blade was too dull and it left the edges kind of rough. So that might be something you need to watch for as well. And so we have our opening. Now don't forget to erase your pencil marks. Now to determine the placement of the sentiment words on your circle, you can do it two ways. You can use the template or you can use the hole in your front card. Simply place your needle tool and line it up, and you can make slight marks. Turn it, make another mark, and continue turning and making your marks so that you know the placement of your sentiments. And that finishes it. So now you know that your placements will go in between each of these marks. Now another way is to use the template, and you're going to take your craft knife and you're going to cut in between the lines, just the lines between the circle. You're going to lay your template on your circle, line it up, hold it still, and take your pencil and mark in between the cut lines. And using copy paper to draw your template will allow your pencil mark to go in between the cut lines. And even when you miss one, you can see the indentation of where it needs to go as well. And so there you have a more precise image. So you can do that either way, this way or using the actual hole. Now I might add that using the template to mark your holes, you're going to get 8 areas for sentiment. Using the hole to mark your sentiments, you're going to get 7 areas. It just marks a little bigger. There is one other thing I like to do in marking for my sentiments. I like to mark the bottom line. And what this does, it gives me an area, it is more clearly defined of where I need to stamp my image. Now to do that with the template, simply cut the template out on this next to the last circle. And again, you can draw around it. Now this template you can find at Raenelle.com. It is a free download. And you just print it off as a PDF file and lay it back on your, and then simply draw around it. And that gives you a clearly defined area to where to stamp your images. Now we haven't stamped our greeting, and it is from the Love and Affection, and it is, "You are every lovely word I could possibly think of." And we want to stamp that right above our banner. And so when we add the words, it just makes such a great little card. Because I'm going to make this a birthday card, I'm going to use the smaller image from the template because it's going to say all the words, and then it's going to say happy birthday. So now I'm going to stamp my sentiments using, again, the thoughtful banners along the edges, and I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo color. This Flirty Flamingo color will show up very nicely because of the black outline of the banner stamp. Again, I'm going to use a small block so that I can kind of keep my ink, and using the center and the outside line, I know where to stamp my stamp. And the last 2 words are happy birthday. Now I'm going to erase all of my pencil marks. So now it's time to assemble our card. We're going to take the front and we're going to assemble our brad. Now, this heart brad that I have it will move, because it spins. So I'm going to put a mini glue dot right here on the side so that that heart will not spin when the card is spun. Is spun a word? I'm not sure. It will just hold it in place. I'm going to put that brad in there first, and I'm going to align it the heart the way I want. There you go. Now I'm going to push the brad down. And now we have our card, and it turns great. How wonderful. Happy birthday. Okay, now we're going to take the tear and tape and we're going to put it on the 3 sides to hold the card together. I'm going to take the back of the card, and the way I do it is I put these 2 points together. I take my finger and hold it as I manipulate the bottom edge together, and that aligns it perfectly. And now all we have to do is just decorate our card. Using this card as my design, I'm going to take my 3/4 inch designer series paper on the bottom, and I'm going to put it on the top using the tear and tape. This tape now, using 2 of them, is probably overkill, but that's okay. Now to add the flowers, I'm going to use the Tombow mono adhesive. And I like to place some of the elements off the side. And I put it on there first and then decide, and then I glue them down. Something you might be interested in knowing is after aligning these flowers like I want to set them on the card front, you can take a piece of press and seal saran wrap, lay it over it, turn it over, put all your glue on it, and then lay it back over, and then just push them all down at the same time. And that's kind of an interesting way of doing that, to keeping them all in the places that you wanted to see them stay. Now this one, actually, I wanted that to go off, so I wonder if I can do that and hide my mistake here. Yeah. There, now I'll cut part of that off. Because see, this keeps my elements in a triangle. Always try to keep everything you do in a triangle. It's odd number and it is acceptable, and it's just pleasing to the eye. Now to add the sequins, I'm going to use the glue dots to put the sequins on. And I always have a hard time picking up sequins, so I like to use my needle tool to pick them up, put them through the hole, to lay it on the side of the sequin, on the side of my glue dot. Pull my needle tool out and it lays right over on the glue dot, and then I can just pick it up. I'm using small sequins on the small flowers and a little larger sequin on the larger flowers. See, I just lay that over, pull my needle tool out, and it just lays right on the sequin. And those sequins just add a little dimension to this. It just gives it a little flair. And that completes our card for today. A happy birthday card. Fabulous, kind, happy birthday. Now don't forget to stamp your envelope as well. It just adds such a great gift for anyone. And thank you today for joining me today at Raenelle.com. Please don't forget to comment and subscribe, and join us again next week for another card. Again, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and you can order these products at Stampin'Up.com with Raenelle Pearson as your demonstrator. Have a great day. Thank you. As I'm looking at this finished card, I realize I forgot to stamp the little arrows on the turn, and you can find those little arrows in the Thoughtful Banner stamp set. It is this little arrows right there. So don't do like I did and forget the little arrows. I'll go ahead and stamp them again now, but stamp it while you're stamping your words. Again, have a great day. Thank you.